transportation. We are here in a very old place here in southeast Minneapolis, the Ivy Art Building, and full of arts, and it's a very interesting building. A lot of characters. Also, last rehearsal for this show play, and Sanctuary City is gonna start next week, and it's a beautiful production, and Frank's theater customized to it's a small venue but big production. Frank's theater has been with us for over 30 years, 70 shows. Wendy Knox founded the theater 1989, I think, and she's about to introduce a new show here, Sanctuary City, and it's a story about immigrants and dreamers, and it seems like when she starts a show, that kind of predicting what this country is going through. I remember last time I was talking to you, you were producing the Arsonist, and it's like a predicting of Trump and Trumpism. Yeah. Now you're doing this Sanctuary City, you're predicting a measured, what's going on with you?
It was, a friend of mine said this about 20 years ago, because we were doing a play called The Love Song of J. Robert Oppenheimer, which was about the development of the atomic bomb. And that's just when the U.S. was going into Iraq to look for weapons. And she said, it's really strange, Wendy. It's not like you do something that reflects the headlines. It's like you do something that's just before. I know. So
let's start with Frank Theater. You founded that almost 30 years ago, above?
35 years.
35 years ago, 70 production plot. The genesis of that theater, because it's a new small theater with big production.
Yeah. We started the theater just because we thought that the theater we were seeing in the community at that time was pretty complacent. It was like you'd go see the theater and you'd come out, and as I've said many times, the first question would be, where should we go eat? And I felt like if you spend an hour or two in a theater, you should come out with bigger questions than where should we go eat? So I started it with a friend of mine, and then she left after about 4 years, and I weighed whether I was going to continue or not, and I did, and here we are 35 years later. And
still going.
Yeah. And our mission is to do work that challenges both the artists and the audience. We like to give artists a chance to do work that they might not be able to do other places, and we like to have the audience walking out talking about something other than what restaurant should they go to.
The theater, they have a physical place, and people from the suburbia go there or whatever park. But now you go to the places, you go to your audience, you go to the people.
We have performed in just about every theater venue in town, and then about 15 years ago we thought, who needs a theater? So we performed in a lot of empty buildings. Like just a few blocks from here there was a Rainbow Foods that had sat empty for 2 years, and I called up the landlord and said, hey, can we do a play there? And so we did there, and we did at the A-Mill, which is over on the river. That's now an event center, but we did a couple of shows there. We did something at the Public Works building on 26th and Hiawatha. So we performed in a lot of different spaces, which is always really fun. And it energizes both the building and the community around it. Oh, at the Sears building, too. Just before the Midtown Global Market opened, we did a couple of shows there.
I have a confession for the Sears organization and CEO and founder and stockholder. That's where I learned the first shoplifting. When I first came. So how did you pick up this play?
We did a play by the same playwright a year ago, which was also about immigration. She was a Polish immigrant who had come here, lived here for 20 years, and it was also in New Jersey. Because the playwright is Polish, and she came when she was 3 years old. Her mother brought her to New Jersey.
So this autobiographical or?
No, it's not autobiographical, but she writes about her experience, and she writes about firsthand the experience of being an immigrant, and so we had done this play called Ironbound last year, and then it was a great play to work on, and I started reading some other stuff of hers, and she's a great play for Frank to do, because she's really smart. Her plays are difficult. but they're really compelling, and they're also about issues that, I mean, it's funny to think we're doing this play now, and then on the news last night they're showing all these deportation roads.
When did you start working on this?
Well, I probably chose the play maybe about a year ago.
What's the role of the art to just sense what social issues are?
And to spark a conversation. That's what I feel. Not all artists are, but Frank's role is that we like to present work that's going to make people talk about it, you know. And I had immigration's been a hot topic for a long time, and it's been heating up in recent years, you know, but I had no idea. I mean, you're looking at, I was just thinking, watching what Trump is doing is like watching the LA fires happen. It's just horrible. You can't imagine. But the whole country, it's just like, you know, and
Not Trump.
no, it's the whole bunch of people who are working to destroy things that have taken so long to build up. And it feels cruel, it feels hurtful, you know, and so I think that you know, watching those deportation raids, the TV things coverage last night was like, it puts a whole different pall over this play, you know, because when we're working on the play and we're talking about it, and even though we delve very deeply into the text and ask what this is about, you know, it's like when all of a sudden you're seeing it, you know, reflected right in your neighborhoods, and you know, it's you know, and the three actors who are in the play all have immigrant backgrounds. You know,
Talk to us a little bit about them.
well, it's interesting because the playwright has put a note on the script saying you can cast this with any ethnicity. It doesn't have to be any certain specific group, you know, and she's been very good about making sure that the script does not make references to specific groups, so it can be very flexible. Yeah, and she said cast it in a way that is reflective of your community. So I was interested, I thought we could do, you know, the conversation so much here is about south of the border. You know, that's sort of the obvious, biggest, you know, topic. But on our
South of the border here is Iowa.
those Iowa immigrants.
They come in, you know, they want to go to Mall of America. No,
Exactly.
keep them out.
Get back to Des Moines. Yeah. But so, I mean, I was curious about what would, you know, I mean, we have such a big Somali population here. We have, you know, a huge Hmong population. So it was very interesting to just sort of, and so I just, we were reading some scenes, and I asked a couple of actors that I knew that I had, you know, worked with to read it. And I was like, oh, and there's also the challenge that the main characters are young. They're like, they play 17 to 21. So finding someone who can play young enough to do those roles and also who, you know, reflects the community. So we have someone who is a Filipino. Her parents came from the Philippines. We have someone who was adopted from Korea. And we have a Hmong actor. So it's a great mix of, you know, and they all have stories about what they're best.
Your background, tell us a little bit about it. Why theater was your call?
Well, I went into college and I was a chemistry major for the first 2 years.
Chemistry on the stage.
Chemistry on the stage, exactly. Okay. So I went in, I thought I was going to be a pre-med, pre-veterinarian, something like that, but then I sort of stumbled over some theater and I started working on that. And it is the same thing, and you figure out, how does this work? What happens if you do this show in that building, or if you do this actor in that role? So it is, for me, it's about asking the questions. So that's what my background was. Then I went to Seattle. I moved to Seattle, and I went to grad school there. So I got my master's degree there, and then out of there I got a Fulbright, and so I lived in Finland for 2 years. So, and I lived in an apartment building where everybody was from somewhere else, you know. So it was a great just sort of opening of eyes politically and personally, because you go to do your laundry and you're talking to a Soviet physicist or a Hungarian linguist or something. It's just like, then I came back here and I thought I'd go back to Seattle, but I was born here, but I hadn't lived here as an adult and as a theater maker. So I decided to stay here, and I was thinking, well, what do I do with this? You know, again, because I was interested in the bigger world, and so Frank Theater has sort of become the way to explore those questions and stuff.
And I think we talked before about the name, and I was going wrong direction with that. Frank, my dear.
Yes. No, it was just, we needed to have a name for the theater because we had to have press release out for our very first show. And it needed to be out the next morning. We had no idea, and we had had way too much coffee, and we were like, well, let's just be, we'd pick up any other, we were in a restaurant, let's be Salt and Pepper Shaker Theater, let's be Tablecloth Theater, and I had seen a film that day, a finished film, and there were 16 characters in the play, and they were all named Frank. And I said, let's be Frank Theater. And we thought that was really funny, and so that became our name. And if you look at our font for our first logo, it has a hot dog font. So we've used this hot dog thing, and our giving categories are like cocktail sausage, Vienna sausage, tofu pup. So it's all...
This is the first time I know a hot dog can inspire anybody for anything.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. The playwright, she won the Pulitzer Prize, for her costly. She was cost of living. That's her. It seems like this is the theme, as you say, about those struggle in life.
Yes.
And she creates art out of that.
Yes. You don't hear. Cost of Living is about two people who are disabled, and how they managed, and it's a great play, And Ironbound was about a woman who's trying to sort of create a new life for herself in New Jersey. And then this play is about, children of immigrant parents who were brought here, as toddlers. This is the only place they've known as home, and now, it's right after 9/11. So everyone's, they're being threatened to be deported, and one of their mothers goes back, the other one, they're just, so they live in that fear that is happening right now, too.
The theater, Open Eyes.
Mm-hmm. Open Eye is a little theater on 24th in Portland. It was started by Michael Summers and Sue Hawes, who did a lot of puppetry work, and now Joel Sass is the artistic director, and they do a mix of things. They do music, they do puppetry, they do theater stuff like that. And it's a great little 80-seat theater. It's wonderful.
And the audience that come to Frank's, and I'm sure everybody's interested in having a conversation, but through the years, do you have a feel of who's really most likely to come here next weekend?
It changes with every show we do. I mean, we have a solid core audience that is, like most theater-going audiences, they're older, they're white, they have gray hair, but they are, they're really happy.
They have dogs.
They have dogs, yes. So we have that core, but then it changes with it depends who we're putting on stage. When we've done a lot of this work by a playwright named Susan Laurie Parks, who's African American. If we have a lot of African American people in our cast, the audience reflects that. And so like if we did a play called Citizen, which is by Claudia Rankin, it's about living with microaggressions every day. And again, we got a lot of, she's African American. We got a very mixed audience for that. A lot of progressive white people, and so and with this one, it'll be interesting to see because it's supposedly younger people, and we have an Asian cast, which is really exciting, and a lot of people have been excited by that. So we'll see what happens.
We wish you all the best. It's going to be on the 31st start, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Sunday afternoon.
And Sunday afternoons we have post-show discussions after the play. So the 2:00 matinee in the play lasts under 2 hours, and then we have a discussion where we invite members of the community to come in and talk about the issue, talk about immigration, talk about deportation. So they're very fun. Not fun. They're very interesting and engaging. They're not just about how do you learn all those lines, or it's about the issues that are raised in the play. So
Wendy Knox, the founder of Frank's, and she's producing a wonderful play, and we're going to see some rehearsal here, and I know we're not allowed to take any picture or video, but it's interesting to see it. It's about two undocumented immigrants living or try to survive in New Jersey. What a plot. So we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for covering.
No, appreciate it.